Listen as your day unfolds. Challenge what the future holds. Try and keep your head up to the sky.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show by an ultra-feminine, meek, shy, totally unopinionated trans woman that seeks to listen to both sides and does not make fun of TERFs. You've listened to the show, right? You still want me to say this? Okay. Here's your host, Marty Abernathy.
Welcome, everyone. I'll start the music back up and didn't. Welcome to the Tea Party. I'm just getting used to my new setup. Thank you for coming tonight. So we have an interesting show. If you want to help support the show, you can go to teapartypodcast.com. You can join all the socials that I'm on. I'm on everything from Twitter to Parler to Gab. Don't ask me why. You got to troll sometimes, and I'm going to troll people on Gab. But yeah. Well, I want to remind everybody.
We're streaming live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook by searching for Tea Party Podcast. That's the letter T followed by Party Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter and Instagram at Marty Abernathy. You can financially support the show by making a one-time donation by going to trans.fm or by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/Marty Abernathy. That's MartyAbernathy.
So I have had a weird day today. I was running around TikTok. And hello to Jordan Joan P in the chats and David. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. I was over on TikTok and I came upon a video that I was just like, it fascinated me at first, and then I was just like, what does this say about men? I'm going to go ahead and play that now. We're going to switch over to our camera 2. Look at that transition. Don't you love it? So this video basically shows the power of makeup. Oh shit. You know what's really awful? Is that I was testing earlier today and didn't realize it, but I had the wrong playlist open. So I need to open this playlist for today. Oh, crap. It's going to be another one of those days, folks. I know what I can do. I can go in here. Oh, no. I'm just going to pull them on in. All right. So, that's all right. I just got to figure out where everything's at now. Oh, she's playing this song called I Can Take Your Man If I Want To. But
you cannot get in. I can take your man, pass him to my friends.
You know it's early and maybe I'm overthinking, but I've seen a lot of people stitch this video. I've seen a lot of men stitch this video, as a matter of fact, to talk about how this woman hoodwinks people because she's a phony, she's a fraud because she looks like this, but then she puts all that shit on and she looks like that. Let me tell you something. I'm missing two side teeth from doing erroneous amounts of cocaine. If I could afford it, best believe, baby, I would have some teeth up in here. We wear our hair the way that we want to wear it to make us feel beautiful. Some of us wear makeup. Some of us don't. Some of us wear fake eyelashes. Some of us don't. Let me tell you something. What is wrong with us doing whatever it is we feel like we need to do to look beautiful in our own way? What's the problem with that? Why are we still not considered being real? What's wrong with that? What the fuck is wrong with people, yo?
And
you know how many people?
It's not even people. It's not even people. It's men. This is fucking toxic masculinity right here. The guys that'll say, "Oh well, she's like cheating or misrepresenting herself or whatever." First off, and it reminds me a lot of when people talk about trans women not saying that they're trans when they meet someone. And no one owes you an explanation about who they are. If you sleep with someone and you don't know their history, that's on you. If this woman rocks up on you and you are not someone that's being taken advantage of or misrepresented. It always kills me when people do this kind of shit. There is no reason for, I mean, men are like little crybabies. Oh, they're not, that's cheating. I'm just like, no, it's not. It's somebody that's actually really good at makeup and really good at presenting themselves, and enough that you liked it or were impressed by it. But it's the toxic masculinity that says, "Oh, wow, I'm being cheated somehow. That this is not right. This is not right. This person gets into the bedroom and takes her teeth out and doesn't look the same." First off, women don't put makeup on for you. They do it for themselves. Secondly, again, this is on you. If you're with someone and you don't take the time to get to know them and you feel somehow cheated by this, that's on you. That's not on this person. Anyways, when I saw that, I thought, Jesus Christ, a bunch of guys are going to be on here going, I can't believe she manipulated people like that. Like, she doesn't really look like that. And I'm like, do you know what makeup is? Very few women that wear makeup actually look like how they look like with makeup without it. That's kind of the fucking point. It's just unbelievable to me that in this day and age, men still have this issue. And this type of, it's like they're owed. It's like they're owed. They want to see the most beautiful side of women, the best presented woman, but at the same time, they don't want to be cheated. It's just like, Jesus Christ. Anyways, I'll look on my playlist because I think I had something else along these lines. David said maybe she's born with it, maybe it's make believe. You know what? She was born with the ability to make herself look nice. So, I mean, that right there is her thing, it kind of goes along the same line though. I wanted to play this is from a trans woman. She has decided not to mess with her voice at all. And this is what she says.
Okay, let's talk about it. I'm asked about this subject all the time, and it's finally time for me to say something. My voice. Why I haven't changed my voice, and why I don't do anything to change my voice. I love my voice. I'm told often my voice doesn't sound feminine, and that's false. My voice is a woman's voice because it comes from a woman. I love how booming it is. I love how strong it is. I love when I'm in a room and people are questioning what I know. I can change the volume of my voice and it changes the tone of the room. I have a beautiful voice. And my laugh changes everything. It makes others laugh in the hardest times. I don't change my voice because I don't have to. I love my voice.
So I thought that was pretty straight on. And that's the thing. It's not about having a man's voice or a woman's voice. It's about having her voice. And I wondered upon this video as well when I heard this.
Okay, let's talk about it. I'm asked about this subject all the time.
Everything said in that video was valid. But what I'd like to talk about for a hot second is that can we stop putting genders on what your vocal range is at? Because 9 times out of 10, when I make a phone call, people assume that I'm a man on the phone. Do I often talk with a higher octave? Yes. Do I often throw my voice so I sound a little more femme? Yes. But asking somebody why they haven't raised the sound of their voice to match their more feminine image is a little fucking weird. This is me on the regular. My voice is just as deep as hers. You don't ask people why they haven't changed certain things about themselves so it fits your gender norms. That's shitty to do. Just like asking somebody what's in their pants while they're transitioning, or even after, or even in general. Y'all are fucking weird.
I thought that was spot on. Like, because trans issues not only affect trans people, they affect cis people that are gender non-conforming in some way. And just like Mama Wood here, she gets sirred on the phone. And that is something that, you know, I'll tell you a story. So there is a company, a bank here in the UK called HSBC. And so I just thought of this, by the way. This is why I'm doing it on the fly. HSBC and then LGBT. So this is, they've got videos here on what it means to be an LGBT ally for HSBC UK. And, they have all of these, question time, all these British LGBT awards, everything. This company is who I bank with. I cannot get them to stop misgendering me, no matter what I do. Like, I literally have called this bank and said, isn't there some way that you can put something on file? Because I would think that as customer service, that you would say, I want to have something on file that this person wants to be called. Whether it's, Mrs. Jones or Sue or Fred Johnson or however it is that they want to be addressed. It's just good customer service to actually have that in your notes. I mean, literally, my doctor back in America, they had a pretty advanced EMR system by Epic Systems. And they literally, I saw a screenshot. Oh, I actually took a screenshot of my own chart where the doctor had written that I was a computer geek. And this is just so it gives him a memory of the patient, and he is able to give a better customer service. This is literally a company that puts out like it's LGBT friendly, but they cannot even not misgender their customers, to the point where they gave me some extra money in my account for repeatedly doing this, and then they continue to do it. It's like you can't even, this is just basic customer service, not even trans-wise. And it gets, what bothers me so much is this is just fucking basic customer service. You set yourself up to help the person feel comfortable how they feel comfortable. It's not rocket science, and it shouldn't be something that I have to call. I mean, literally, I hate calling my bank these days for that exact reason. It's annoying. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting because a lot of trans rights, you'll see that the people that end up getting fucked over by transphobia are cis people that are gender nonconforming. It happens all the freaking time. While we're on trans stuff, I saw this video and it just fucking makes my blood boil.
I am a cisgendered woman, so if I don't cover this topic perfectly, or I could use some improvements, please let me know. But I'm going to do my best to battle the turf rhetoric that I've been seeing a lot of people on this app buying into.
It's no longer acceptable to associate childbearing to only women.
I don't think a lot of women notice, but they are robbing us of our womanhood.
Okay, so firstly, this news report is from Fox News, and loads of other creators have covered this before, but it's wildly skewed and divisive in the rhetoric that it's portraying, and they're famous for being inaccurate and divisive. Also, who is this they that you speak of?
Every special particular thing that makes us who we are as women is being mocked and stolen from us.
Okay, so firstly, there is no one thing that...
Well, she goes on to talk. I wanted to bust in here for a minute. This is like bioessentialism. You are a woman because, and this is turf rhetoric. You are a woman because, not because you say you're a woman. You're a woman because you have babies. This is bioessentialism. This is like everything that people say they want to fight when it comes to being judged and when you want equal rights or and women want to be treated fairly, yet this is how it all comes down to you having the ability to have a baby. It's absurd. Especially for cis women that can't conceive.
Makes you a woman or doesn't make you a woman. Some women cannot give birth. Some women cannot menstruate. Some women don't even have ovaries, right? Being biologically female and having female bits is different from identifying as a woman, because your gender and your biological sex are two different things. Womanhood or being a woman is really just a label of your gender identity, and people use it to discuss experiences that they may share.
My whole thing with this is, if somebody doesn't want to identify as a woman and is giving birth, then who's being robbed? When a trans man is called him or a father or a birthing parent instead of a mother, who is being robbed in that situation? The child doesn't know. The parents sure as hell don't care. Who's being robbed? Who is guilty? This woman here, this woman that let's see, that's 121. This woman here, what's she being robbed of? What is taken from her when a trans guy is called a birthing parent instead of a mother? What is taken from this person? It's absurd. It's absurd, and it's right-wing rhetoric. What boils down to is they want to throw this rhetoric out so that they don't have to actually legislate real things, real issues. They can throw this out and people will vote for them, even though they're screwing themselves in the process. Anyways, Sketchy Bambi here continues.
Experiences that they may share, but those experiences are not exclusive to womanhood.
As women in this society, as women in this world, we have been through a lot and we are still going through a lot. And women being the biggest supporters of trans people, you would think that they would have enough respect for us. We literally...
Are trans people not being called mothers because they don't feel like they are mothers even when they're pregnant? Why is calling them a birth parent somehow mocking you, taking something away from you?
Birth this world. We birth heterosexuals, we birth trans, we birth...
What's this we shit? Nobody's taking anything away from you.
Birth bisexuals, we birth everyone as naturally born women. So give us our credit.
I don't really see how that has anything to do with anything.
What fucking credit? What credit are you losing?
Just because women are able to give birth, that doesn't mean that we're allowed to dictate how everyone else lives their lives and how everyone else refers to themselves. We are literally just changing the label surrounding it to be more inclusive, not less inclusive, more inclusive. And in my opinion, if your womanhood is that fragile that it's threatened by this, you need to take a look at yourself.
Give us our flowers. Stop trying to steal what is sacred to us and all the struggles we go through.
Steal? How can you steal? That's something that I've never understood. You get people like Janice Raymond and Mary Daly. They'll say, "Oh, you're wearing womanhood like a mask." There are women out there that will say trans women are wearing woman face, and I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean that there's a certain look to a woman? Do you know who that sounds like? Sounds like MRAs. Jesus Christ.
As a woman, whether it be struggles of this world or physical or whatever, y'all don't want those struggles.
And you also might not realize it, but by pushing this...
And to say that we don't want those struggles is absurd. There's trans women that are literally breastfeeding children already because they want that experience. And my God, one of the earliest documented trans women died because she was trying to get a womb transplant, saying we don't want that. It just shows ignorance of the trans community.
Idea that real women give birth and real women menstruate and real women are born women. You're not only being harmful to trans people, but you're being harmful to women that cannot give birth as well. You're invalidating their womanhood. Also, you do realize that if someone is born cis female and then later on transitions into being male, they were still perceived as a woman for a very long time. So they still had the struggle of being a woman that you're convinced that they're stealing from.
Yeah, it's like somehow trans men are stealing from cis women. And it just blows me away. I don't know. This is very turfy rhetoric.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
Transphobia. Oh my God. And that literally is what it is, because nothing is being taken from you. You don't own anything. That's the thing that gets me with the in fact, let me see if I can bring it up, because I can't believe I didn't download this TikTok, because I usually want to play it in my player, but it's my TikTok actually. If I can find it, yeah, here it is.
I totally agree.
So this TikTok, let's see, where is that? All right. Come on. You can do it. No. Come on, you can do this. All right, here we go. All right. So I'm going to put myself next to myself. Wow, hello there. I just fucked my entire screen because I'm making jokes. Anyways, it says, I'm happy with the consensus that a person wears makeup for themselves. We're shapeshifters. It's camouflage, even if it's flamboyant.
A joke on my podcast slash YouTube channel that I'm a binary trans woman caught in the body or trapped in the body of a non-binary trans woman. I know the difference between my gender identity and the perception of that identity, and I want to normalize everyone wearing whatever they want to wear. But I do think that that act is an act of liberation in terms of gender equality and liberation. I mean, there are TERFs that have claimed that trans women are wearing women face. That's even if that's a thing. Although I do have problems with even calling them radical because they're upholding patriarchy.
So we had some discourse over the whole Bernie Bros narrative.
Oh, that's another video for another time. But yeah. I think that the world's going to be a much better place when things like makeup and stuff like that and clothes are normalized, and you don't think of things as women's clothes or men's clothes, but my clothes. David, that's lost on me because I haven't seen the movie Inception. I know I probably should, but I haven't seen it. But yeah, I think makeup should be normalized, and that's the thing. Like and I'm glad to see that it kind of is. You do have influencers that are that men that are wearing makeup, and women are following them, and it's becoming more and more normalized. I see some of my favorite creators on YouTube with painted nails, and I'm glad that's being normalized as well, because I think it's something that's important over time. It'll help all gender variant people, and it'll help because David said you can go back and say it's a brilliant comment after you've seen the movie. Doesn't Inception have the guy from the Lincoln commercials? I forget his name, but the actor that is definitely a himbo. I forget his name. Anyways, I try to stay away from his movies. Anyway, I think it's important that things get normalized to the point of where things aren't looked at as boys or girls toys, or I mean that's how you get a world where things are, that's where equal, I wouldn't say equal, but things, you have a more equitable society when you don't objectify things and place them in a category that makes them the owner of those things as an objectified class. Anyways, I actually I think one of my first interviews, if I can interview this person, they actually, this is the second one that I'm going to do from here, but there's a new book out, and I'm reading it. It's from Pluto Press. Pluto Press has been putting out some good books lately, but this says it's the first collection of its kind. Transgender Marxism is a provocative and groundbreaking union of transgender studies and Marxist theory. Exploring trans lives and movements, the authors delve into the experience of surviving as transgender, considering the totality of the gendered experience under capitalism. They explore the pressures, oppression, and state persecution faced by trans people living in capitalist societies, how they survive the damage done through their tenuous position in their workplace and the home, and given a powerful response to right-wing scaremongering against the, quote, gender ideology, unquote. Reflections on the relations between gender and labor. They show how antagonisms faced by gender nonconforming people are structured within society. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I haven't started it yet, but I have purchased it. But I'm looking forward to it. But anyways, that's kind of getting off the beaten path. But it just popped into my head. David said it. Inception has Elliot Page. I want to see who else is in it. It does have Leonardo DiCaprio. No, that's not who I thought it was. For some reason. Oh, good. I should go watch it then. Because I'm trying to think of the movie that I was thinking, or not the movie, but the actor. Matthew McConaughey. I thought it was I thought Matthew McConaughey was in the movie, so I cannot stand anything with Matthew McConaughey in it. That's hilarious. I didn't want to see a movie because I thought it had Matthew McConaughey in it. Oh dear. All right, let's bring this up. But yeah, I this whole thing, like, this whole thing of like trans men are stealing something, it's absurd. Being more inclusive is just that. It's being more inclusive. Don't fall into this turf rhetoric bullshit, because that's all it is. It's just rhetoric, trying to get people to be basically to be Republicans. And if you have to know history, though, you have to know history, because literally, let's see. I want to see if I actually had it up on this. Here, let's see. Transgender. Not Marxism. I'm trying to think. No. This was in Pink News recently. Yeah. So-called gender critical feminists. Well, go away. No. God damn it. I'll see if I can do it on this. I know that I read this. I know that I read this. For some reason, with opera, it won't. Julia Long drapes an anti-trans adult human female t-shirt on the Mary Wollstonecraft statue in London. This is how absurd they are. The past few months have seen a backlash against trans rights in the UK, led by gender critical feminists who contend that sex is immutable and cannot be changed. Writes Sophia Sadiqua, deputy editor of the Institute of Race Relations journal Race and Class. Those rallying around sex-based rights almost exclusively use the argument to justify exclusion and separation of trans people from the gendered spaces and from the wider feminist and LGBT movement. And this is exactly what's going on. Basically, if you look at who these people hang around with, they hang around with Tories, right-wing Tories, not just regular Tories, but very conservative, social conservative Tories. Almost always exclusively use this argument to justify exclusion and separation of trans people. And even from within the movement, they've actually started a charity called LGBT or LGB Alliance to separate the LGB from the T. And this couldn't happen in America ever. Well, I shouldn't say ever. Hope not. But because the LGBT is so intertwined that, and Adam's right. He said they hang around with straight up fash a lot of the time. Literally, there are pictures with a lot of these folks with right-wing people. They're intersectional in their bigotry. I've shown this before, I think. God damn, I forget her name. There's anyways, it doesn't matter. Because I don't need the old stuff. Fuck. That's there's here. Check this out. Stonewall has betrayed lesbians like me with its Stalinist trans doctrine. It's time for it to go. Julie Bendel. And where do they say this? In that bastion of feminism, the Daily Mail. Jesus Christ. I'm going to bring this page back up. There we go. Gender critical feminism espoused by anti-trans groups like LGB Alliance, Women's Declaration on Human Rights, Women Place UK, Fair Play for Women, as well as multiple interconnected campaigners, academics, and journalists, is defined by IRR as a rising from second wave feminism of the late 70s and early 80s, which understood feminism as a response to male power, which for them is embodied by the male penis. Therefore, anybody who embodies maleness is considered a potential threat. Anti-trans groups in the UK oppose legal reforms that would strengthen trans rights. Actual legal reforms that are you guys are hilarious in the chat, though. You're distracting me. Uncle Joe Stalin says trans rights. Famously. Anti-trans groups in the UK oppose legal reforms that would strengthen trans rights. Trans rights that have been the law of the land for the past 20 years across the world, especially in the United States. A lot of this legislation that's coming out now is late to the party. It's been legal for trans people to use the bathroom of their choice at least for 20 years. So, and there's never once been someone that has used trans ideology to get out of committing a crime. So I continue. They have brought dozens of anti-trans legal cases and have broad unquestioning support from the British media and government. In a piece titled Feminism, Biological Fundamentalism, and the Attack on Trans Rights, Sadiqa goes into warning that gender critical feminists are playing in the hands of far-right street forces and extreme right-wing electoral parties which would like to abolish anti-discrimination protections altogether. Here's the thing. They don't give a fuck. They want to own the trans. That's all there is to this. They want to own the trans. They want trans people to suffer. David, you're not gonna get muted here, even by yourself. She continues, time and time again, gender critical feminists use the same biological arguments that a man is a man, a woman is a woman, to debase the rights of trans, intersex, and non-binary people, often in the name of women's rights. The rigid biological notion that a man is a man, a woman is a woman, is central to how far the far right mobilizes across Europe in order to enforce heterosexual norms. And that's the thing. What bothers me about an article like this is it makes them look like they're outliers and they just don't know what they're doing. They do. They are. Adam Rainstopper in the chat says second wave feminism was white as fuck, and plenty of the cases of transphobia as well as tons of biphobia, but embodied by male. By the male penis thing was made up yesterday, maybe 10 minutes ago, whenever that shit was written. Most recently, gender critical feminist Dr. Julia Long was photographed draping this on a new feminist statue in London. It's also appeared on billboards, t-shirts, and campaigns, symbolizing the gender critical claim that only real women are the ones that were assigned female at birth. The IRR piece continues, just as scientific racism centered on supposed biological differences to classify humans in a rigid racial hierarchy, gender critical feminists are propelling biological arguments that essentialize sex and its relation to gender identity, contending that sex is purely biological depending on what reproductive organs you have. Their arguments amount to a fundamentalist approach to biology that labels anyone who doesn't conform to a normative view of womanhood or manhood as abnormal, which ultimately increases the vulnerability of an already vulnerable group of people, segregating them as other. The IRR piece concludes the denial of solidarity between trans women and feminists create a false dichotomy between the two and detracts from issues that affect us all, such as rollbacks of reproductive rights. That's the thing. When it comes to trans rights, I support bodily autonomy across the line. So that means abortion rights. That means death with dignity. That means marijuana laws. It all goes around the same thing: bodily autonomy. And they don't care. I mean, these people are on the right. I mean, where was Andrea Dworkin when she was in front of Congress? She was in front of Congress for the fucking Meese Commission, a Republican. She sided with Republicans. What committee was Janice Raymond on? It was Jesse Helms' committee. They got rid of, or that made it impossible for trans people to actually be classed as to be able to get any kind of government funding for SRS. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that Mary Daly or Janice Raymond have theological degrees. I don't think that's a mistake. And like Posey Parker, the person that came up with those fucking shirts. The persecution of Posey Parker. Here's the persecution of her. Here's Posey Parker appearing on a podcast of an outspoken white nationalist, crude misogynist, and accused sexual exploiter of young women. You can go down the line. But, and that brings me to another point. This is a video, actually. Let me get my player up here. This is another British gender critical person.
What a missed opportunity. They could have called it Georgina Floydina. This is Julie Birchall making fun of a 2-day-old baby, i.e. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's baby Lilibet. This woman has a following of nearly 18,000 and she's a writer for The Telegraph, The Spectator and Unheard. Also notice Christian Zionist in there. So Julie, what's wrong with you? Why are you talking about people's kids? Is it crack or meth? What are you on? Because apparently your own goddamn son said he felt abandoned by you and you want to talk about other people's kids? But just in case you think I'm being mean, you can pause and read it. And this is the same Julie Birchall that made comments about Ash Sarkar that were racist and misogynistic and Islamophobic. Let's also move on to Joanna Toch, if that's how you pronounce it, I don't give a fuck. Why is she chiming in? And then I've done a bit of research as well, and this is shocking, she's actually a barrister. Like, imagine a barrister partaking in subtle racism and mocking a 2-day-old baby. And you're telling me she was the head of family law? No, she needs to get that removed. I'm telling you, the UK is not innocent.
Julie Birchall. Come on.
Of a 2-day-old baby.
Okay. So Julie Birchall said she's she's a TERF that said trans activists. She accused trans activists of being interlopers who, quote, have your cock cut off and then plead special privileges as women. Special privileges. Yeah, there's been nothing but privilege. Nothing but privilege. So yeah, these people, it's not shocking to me that they're intersectional in their bigotry, that she can pull this racist shit. And what I find hilarious is people say that the UK is not racist. Like this shit is said by someone that's a columnist, and Julie Bindel is a columnist in British newspapers. How? If this isn't a racist country. Anyways, so yeah, there definitely is a crossover. There's definitely a crossover. They you can almost bet that there are transphobes that are also homophobes, or I think it's gone now, but the one good thing, the really good thing here is that and Novara Media just put this out. 11 years ago in October, the Equality Act became law. Intending to update old equalities legislation, the act also included a new provision. It made it illegal to discriminate against somebody on the basis of that they are transgender. At the time, the law was criticized as insufficient, but over a decade later, it remains a vital protection in society that still discriminates against trans and non-binary people. One 2020 survey found that 4 in 5 trans people and non-binary people had experienced a transphobic hate crime in the past 12 months, and it's getting worse. In 2018-2019, hate crime against trans and non-binary people rose by 81%. Trans exclusionary radical feminists often justify their opposition to trans rights by claiming to speak on behalf of a silent majority, particularly a silent majority of women, cis women. They don't really use that, but they should. Labor MP argues that politicians who focus on trans rights are out of touch. Yeah, the leader of the Labor Party, the one that threw out Jeremy Corbyn for anti-Semitism, somehow doesn't have a problem with transphobia. I wonder why that is. While a stubborn minority of transphobes continue to fuel rising discrimination against trans and non-binary people, they're just a minority. When you look at the data, when you look at what you find is that trans rights, from a basic sympathy for trans people to support for their self-identification and toilet access, you have clear support across society, especially amongst women and young people. Perhaps we aren't we aren't marooned on turf island after all. Before delving into the question of policy, let's look at the basics. Are voters familiar with trans people? Do they think transgender people are do they think that gender is determined by anatomy? First off, despite trans people making up just 1% of the population, 33% of Britons surveyed in 2015 had met someone that's trans. That familiarity may have contributed to Britain's comparative progressive attitudes towards gender. Over 40% of Britons see gender as a social construct based on sexist stereotypes. Nor is it a belief that is purely theoretical. Polling this February showed that 45% of British adults and 52% of women think that the most legitimate way to describe a person's gender is the gender they identify as now. Just 17% think it should be defined by your birth anatomy. Adam says, obviously there are people like that in the movement, but it wasn't the primary strain within the movement. And fuck those people shitting on their graves, people who made their lives better. The UK had an empire so big that the sun never set on the British Empire, but the UK isn't racist. Shrug. Some random geek. Welcome, some random geek. I didn't see that you were out there. Adam says these people are Rush Limbaugh caricature of fucking feminists. What was the old soap opera where there was a group of feminists marching down 9th Avenue chanting, "We hate men, we hate men"? That's a good question. The public also believes that trans women are women. 51% agree, with a third and significantly more men than women disagreeing. 57% of women do. Not only is the British public supportive of trans people, they are also aware of the struggles trans people face. The most recent polling by Savannah Comres shows that by a 16-point margin, the public, including 50% of women, believe that transphobia is a real problem in the UK. Perhaps because of this, Britons actively want politicians to help trans people. A 2017 YouGov poll found that British people overwhelmingly support equalities legislation to ban discrimination against them. And even when it comes to specific policy, 46% of all voters think that 46% think that trans women should be able to use women's toilets, whereas 54% of women, the people impacted, and it's still more with men than disagree. It's only 38%, but it's 37% say no. And this is with all Dave or Adam. Here's the thing. I was going to say David, but Adam, here's the thing. That this is one of, I have to say, is one of the most transphobic atmospheres I've ever lived under and in. And I lived in Indiana, in the States. But here's something to think about. With all the media that's anti-trans, with all the press they get, with all the media attention they get, half of all people still support trans people. And that's only gonna get bigger. That's only gonna get larger. This says, however, the issue of self-identification, whether trans people should be able to legally change gender without bureaucratic obstacles, remains contentious. The polling's mixed. In general, the public and women in particular support the principle that a person should be able to self-identify as a gender that they were assigned at birth. However, the current process of legally changing gender is outlined to them. British people tend to think trans people should have to present evidence to a panel and seek a doctor's approval, as they do currently, in order to legally change their gender. Here's the thing. The reality, and this is what people don't look at, this is already legal. Self-identification is already a thing in the United States in a lot of places, and Indiana of all places. And I got a friend in here, a moth. Hello, friend. It's on my green screen. But here's the thing. It's already legal in Ireland. They already have self-identification in Ireland and Malta, across the United States. I mean, in the state of Indiana, all I had to do was go down and get a court order. I had to have it printed in the newspaper that I was changing my name and my gender. Self-ID at its finest. No one's ever used that to invade women's spaces, to do anything illegal. And it's been 30 years since these type of things have been in existence. It's all fear. And to be honest with you, that's the thing. If you're going to force trans women to go into men's loos, into men's restrooms, you're going to cause trans women to get raped. I know, because I was sexually assaulted in a men's bathroom when I was too afraid, and early in my transition, and I was too afraid to use a women's bathroom. I was sexually assaulted. That was the last time that I would ever worry about being afraid to use the quote wrong bathroom, because I'm not going to put my safety, because someone feels unsafe with me there. There's a feeling that's not, it's fear mongering more than anything else. There's no proof to it. Trans women do not violate women's space so they can somehow, just the whole fucking thing, making it sound like, oh, we're just out there just so we can get our jollies off by going into women's restrooms. It's not that big of a fucking deal. Jordan Joan P does make a good point. I kind of hate polls like this. It's like, let's have a vote to see if this group of people deserve human rights or not. That is true. But I am glad to see it, because it's a good reflection, given the fact that this fucking I like living in this country. But that being said, it is Turf Island. Adam says it's trans rights or firefights. That's good. That's going to be another good T-shirt. Although personally, I like kinks, but no cops at Pride. I like that one. And this piece says, transphobia is real and on the rise, but when transphobes claim to speak on behalf of a silent majority, we must be forthright in pointing out that they do not, and that politicians neglect trans issues. They're not executing the will of the people, but defying it. I don't think they give a fuck, to be honest with you. They're controlled more by power than they are by people. Anyways, moving on. So I had this really interesting thing happen. So this was on TikTok. Let me see.
She off the chain.
We don't care. You're wrong. Shut the hell up. You're not.
She off the chain.
So this woman made a video and she said, I don't like white people. And this person says, I don't like black people. And this is what
you don't care.
The fact is that it's true, though. The definition of oppression is control and prolonged cruelty to a party, and that isn't happening to black people anymore.
You're wrong. Shut the hell up.
Damn, if I was weak, this would bug me, but all I can say is bless you, sis. Bless you very much.
You're not black. Don't call me sis.
She's just nailing them.
I find this entire conversation.
But this is from Lethal Lex, and Lex is an amazing BLM activist in Utah. I love this point.
Fascinating. And I'm trying to make it click, because I saw this girl say she didn't like white people, and the white people are losing their minds. Do they need to be liked? I don't get it. Literally, our kindergarten teachers treat us badly because we're black. Our white classmates, our landlords, our employers, our co-workers, police officers, the media. Literally, we are treated horribly because of the color of our skin by white people. And you want us to like you still. It's so weird. You are so weird.
And there was another person.
She off the chain.
We don't care.
A grown woman stated that she doesn't like white people and went on to explain that it's because, she's come to that determination after a lifetime of receiving hatred from all the white people she's encountered. And the overwhelming response from white people was to make videos mocking her, degrading her, and over-exaggerating her mannerisms in a racist fashion. And then wondering aloud why anyone would have the audacity to say such a generalized statement as, I don't like white people, without even realizing that they are actively proving the point that you can make that generalized statement. The sheer number of people who felt that it was okay to show their racist lily white asses because they took her video as an invitation or a target on them is just proof that you can make generalized statements like that about white Americans, because it seems like the majority of them don't like anybody but themselves.
Yeah.
And they just keep showing us that
Yep.
over and over and over again.
And this person on TikTok made a lot of the same points.
White people, question for you. You realize that you could put sugar on shit and it will still taste like shit, right? When a black person is expressing something to you or setting a boundary with you, it does not have to be syrupy sweet. It does not have to be comfortable for you. It does not have to be palatable for you. And you don't even have to understand it. And if you're feeling uncomfortable because a black woman on this app said she doesn't like you, I invite you to sit in that feeling. You see, because it doesn't matter what the delivery is. Historically, you have proven over and over again that no matter whether we are covering everything in sugar and syrup or sharing emotions that make you feel uncomfortable and just calling it out and not centering your feelings, you're going to meet us with that same dangerous, harmful, aggressive rhetoric. Either way. See, the problem isn't the delivery. The problem is you and your entitlement and your fragility. I encourage you to start practicing sitting in those feelings of
And that is such a fucking great point. White people have such a fucking entitlement. Like, there's so much fuck. I wonder if it almost seems like a colonial mindset. I need to have everything. If you have something, I need to have. If you're oppressed, I need to be oppressed. It's absurd. I need to be able to say the N-word. I need to appropriate black people's hair and culture. It's my, and that's the thing. There will be people that will take things like woke and appropriate it for themselves, and fucking of all people, ContraPoints, Natalie Wynn making a list of words that aren't cool to say anymore is so fucking typical. I have to wonder if it's fucking part of colonization, where you just cannot believe that something is there and you can't have it. You can't have it. I just think that somehow plays into the history of it. I'm not really sure how, but it does seem that way. And I think I have one more on that.
I don't like white people. To all y'all closet racists using her comment section as your coming out party. It's not the kind of pride we're celebrating this month. Y'all can put that the fuck back. Just in there kind of proving her point, aren't ya? Why do you give a shit? Why do you care? This young black woman doesn't have to like you. It's not her job to validate you and make you feel special because you decided to be not racist today. Are y'all really just going to sit up here and act like, oh, well, I tried to not be racist once, but every black person within my general vicinity didn't show me the absolute most gratitude, so I decided I was just going to be a trash human being anyway. The fuck? You could have been over here like, that really sucks. I'm sorry that most of your experiences with white people have been negative. But instead you were like, yep, it's valid.
And that's what it boils down to for me is it boils down to you don't, when you're first off, you don't call yourself an ally. I will never call myself an ally. I'll let other people call me an ally because that's something that's a title that you earn not by your own work, but by what other people think. That's not something that you can say, hey, I am special and I am an ally. You're not. If you're making a claim that you're an ally, you're not. It's something that should be bestowed upon you, not something that you take. And again, how in the fuck? I'm just like, it does seem like we white people fucking just can't stand not to have something. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Is there anything? And I found this on TikTok as well.
Hey, colonizer. What's not okay is to project your anger onto people who want to be allies.
Then don't be an ally. Girl, your attitude is the definition of a white savior complex. If your allyship is so dependent on the fact that he and his people do not hurt your feelings, your commitment to his movement is not that strong to begin with. Listen, here's the thing about being an ally. The number one job you have as one is to defer to people with marginalized identities that you want to be an ally to. How his movement makes you feel does not matter. He doesn't have space for that. He doesn't have to make space for that. His page is not a negotiation table where you can come in and demand what's going to work for you, expecting that he's going to engage in some sort of conversation about how you two can meet in the middle. No, the only term of negotiation that is acceptable in his own movement is that you meet him and his people where they are. They provide a direction, and if that makes you feel uncomfortable, that discomfort is yours and yours only to deal with. That's a radical concept of decentering yourself. He does not need your help, that you will generously provide if he caters to you.
And that is so spot on. Again, when you're an ally, you decenter yourself. And white people that I've, in my experience as a white person, white people have this thing about always being at the center of attention. They always have to be there saying, "Oh, I want to be part of this too. This part of this is mine as well." And I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. First off, if somebody called me a colonizer, I would have to say that is my family's history. I can't deny that. Anyhow. There's some videos on here. I don't even know what the fuck they are. That's what's funny. Oh, this one made me. This one I've seen it before, but I did want to share it. It comes from the Young Turks. Jordan Joan P in the chat said, "Good allies shut the fuck up." Yes, they do, and they listen, and they put the people that they're allies for. They lift them up. They don't speak for them. They don't take their platforms. They lift those people up to their platforms and platform them. Because it ain't about us. If you're an ally, it's not about you. David, we know that for sure. David said, shutting up is against the traditions of my people. You can try. You can try. So, there is a bit of good news coming out of Peru. Let's I wanted to play this.
Choosing the lesser of two evils. That's how most Peruvians feel about Sunday's runoff election.
By the way, this is from Al Jazeera.
From the far right, Keiko Fujimori. Prosecutors accuse her of leading a criminal organization. And from the far left, Pedro Castillo, a primary school teacher and former union leader, surrounded by party extremists. Many Peruvians are in panic.
Yeah, what are they in panic for? What I find interesting is kind of where this is put. It's they don't tell you the full story.
They fear Castillo will return the country to the 70s, when a left-wing military dictatorship expropriated land from the rich to give to the poor.
Oh my God, no, not that. Oh God, it sounds so even. What's the other side look like?
Leaving farming in tatters. And they're afraid with Marxists in power, the Shining Path will make a comeback. 2 decades of armed conflict with the rebels left more than 60,000 dead and a traumatized country. Keiko Fujimori, daughter of jailed former President Alberto Fujimori, says she'll save the country from communism.
I'm afraid of Castillo, communism and terrorism.
Yeah, communism and terrorism. It's not like capitalism is causing anything wrong.
I want to live in a free country.
A free country. A free country. It's coming up.
Communism is harmful. It's better to be free to think and do what you want.
Yeah, because under capitalism, you can be free to do what you want, right? You're free to shut the fuck up. That's the only thing you're free to do. The suggestion that somehow right-wing authoritarians somehow you have more freedom. I don't really find that to be the truth.
Those who are voting for a change with Castillo remember the corruption and human rights violations during Alberto Fujimori's rule, when Carmen Amaro's brother disappeared.
Fujimori implemented a policy of systematic violations. This election is dangerous. We want to alert the people to vote on Sunday, informed and remembering the past.
And many say Keiko Fujimori, who's facing 30 years in prison for money laundering, perjury, obstruction of justice, and organized crime, also belongs in jail.
We want to change the constitution. Keiko represents corruption and the elite. By recycling those delinquents, she's chosen a new government. Where is the change?
Castillo promises to nationalize some industries, renegotiate energy contracts, rewrite the constitution. He identifies with Evo Morales, the Bolivian former leader. Peruvians are desperately hanging on to their candidates, leaving the country polarized.
So that is what's going on there. For right now, let's have a look. Let me see. Peru elections results. There we go. Too close to call. When was this? June 7th. Yeah, that wasn't I want to find the most recent, because some of these are from 2 days ago, 3 days ago. How about the past day? Here we go. Here we go. This is from NBC News. Yes. Stop. Oh God, I hate fucking these blockers. Oh, here we go. Peru's Castillo to respect market economy if declared winner, says advisor. They're already laying the groundwork because they know the United States is going to basically Peruvian socialist Pedro Castillo, who is narrowly leading the count from the presidential election at the weekend, would maintain a market economy if he becomes president, a key economic aide said on Wednesday. Our idea is not to have a massive interventionism into the economy. Castillo is close to becoming Peru's next president after a polarizing runoff election against right-wing Keiko Fumaro. Castillo is leading by just 70,000 votes after counting 98% of the ballots. Now, if people say, here's the thing: you have someone like Evo Morales, who won decisively, and they said it was a rigged election. They'll do the same thing with this. They will do the same fucking thing with this. They'll say that it was rigged. No, I don't want to switch to Microsoft Edge. Even though he's still leading with 90 by just 70,000 votes. To be sure, some of the 300,000 votes remain contested and could technically sway the election in coming days. Frankie said that Castillo administration would be priority would be raising taxes on mining companies and fighting corporate income tax avoidance in order to fund increase in health and education. Peru is the number 2 copper producer behind Chile, where Congress is weighing opposition proposal for a tax as high as 75% on miners. So I had a couple videos about this, and I think they are definitely apropos when it comes to this. And this pisses me off because my videos are all gone. That's all right. That's quite all right. I can just select all and then move them right over to
Iowa. Iowa was the first state that we got to work in, and we did it quickly and we did it quietly.
Here we go.
Wow, it looks like working class Marxist presidential candidate Pedro Castillo may win election in Peru. This has been one of the most contentious presidential races in Peru's entire history. Castillo has garnered incredible support from the Peruvian working class, especially the indigenous working class, who constantly face racism and exploitation, neo-colonialism from the West. And speaking of the US, Castillo's right-wing opponent is already crying fraud. So it's very likely that the US will declare this election fraudulent, or if not that, will immediately begin preparing for potential regime change. If Castillo follows through on his policies of nationalization and reinvesting in the Peruvian working class, the US is going to flip. Evo literally said these policies are based off Bolivia's Movement for Socialism Party, who obviously the CIA overthrew in 2019 before they took power again in 2021. Solidarity, Latin America, let's go. And Americans, let's stand up and fight when our country tries to destroy these socialist experiments. Solidarity with the Latin American comrades.
That is very true.
People are saying they're excited a socialist president is taking power in Peru, but they're sad the CIA might intervene. But that shouldn't make you dejected and sad. It should make you inspired to create revolution here in the US. Che Guevara said, on some level, revolutionaries should be driven by great feelings of love. And these feelings of love are the motor force that drive proletarian internationalism. The idea that even though our country might try and destroy Peru's country, our solidarity is with the workers of Peru. And our goal, as Che says, is to create revolution here so our government cannot overthrow and destabilize the Peruvian government. And this should be the goal of every socialist, and Americans really need to adopt this. Imagine the effect it would have on revolutionaries all over the world if US workers seized our murderous capitalist government. Those living within the imperial core have the greatest opportunity to take down the capitalist empire.
I think it's really important. The words from Chomsky here.
He brings to mind the axis of evil speech of George Bush back in 2002, which was the precursor, laying the groundwork for the invasion of Iraq.
I think you're going to see exactly the same thing. This is if Castillo does win, you're going to see America beating the drum for war.
The worst crime of this century, with horrendous consequences for Iraq, eliciting ethnic conflicts that are tearing the region apart, a major atrocity. John Bolton was behind that, and his new troika. I doubt that the U.S. will dare to do something similar, but that's what it brings to mind. It's kind of interesting to see this hysterical raving alongside of another astonishing propaganda campaign that Bolton and his colleagues are carrying out with regard to the caravan of poor and miserable people fleeing from severe oppression, violence, terror, extreme poverty from 3 countries: Honduras, mainly Honduras, secondarily Guatemala, thirdly El Salvador, not Nicaragua, incidentally. 3 countries that have been under harsh U.S. domination.
If you know the history, if you know this history, you know the United States had some really fucked up things going on in Peru, not Peru, in Guatemala. There were Guatemalan death squads that the United States supported.
Way back, but particularly since the 1980s, when Reagan's terror wars devastated particularly El Salvador and Guatemala, secondarily Honduras. Nicaragua was attacked by Reagan, of course, but Nicaragua was the one country which had an army to defend the population. In the other countries, the army were the state terrorists backed by the United States. The most extreme source of migrants right now is Honduras. Why Honduras?
That's what I always found interesting when people would talk about people coming to America, coming over here, taking our jobs. That's more of a UK thing, but in the United States, people are talking build the wall, and all that shit. Like literally, this kind of foreign policy is the reason why people want to immigrate to the United States. They want to leave. The best way for you not to have immigration to the United States rather than a wall is to leave these fucking countries alone. Stop stealing their resources. Stop fucking overthrowing their governments for fucking corporations. Just keep your goddamn nose out of it. America, the United States, has destabilized Central and South America for fucking going on 60 years, 70 years.
Well, was always bitterly oppressed, but in 2009, Honduras had a mildly reformist president, Mel Zelaya.
And this is why, because it's kind of tangential, but I wanted to point out this is what America does when they have governments that they don't like. And I can guarantee you this is why this Peruvian communist leftist is basically saying, United States, it's okay. We're not going to get rid of market forces.
The Honduran powerful rich
because they don't want to get overthrown by the United States of America.
elite couldn't tolerate that. A military coup took place, expelled him from the country. It was harshly condemned all through the hemisphere, with one notable exception: the United States. The Obama administration refused to call it a military coup.
See, that's the thing. It's not like this is you're wanting to say, oh, this is back in the 1950s, and this is the fucking, I forget what the fruit company in Nicaragua, National Fruit. Anyways, it's not that. This is fucking during Obama.
Because if they had, they would have been compelled by law to withdraw military funding from the military regime, which was imposing a regime of brutal terror. Honduras became the murder capital of the world. Fraudulent election took place under the military junta, again, harshly condemned all over the hemisphere, most of the world, but not by the United States. Obama administration praised Honduras for carrying out an election, moving towards democracy, and so on. Now people are fleeing from the misery and horrors for which we are responsible. And you have this incredible charade taking place, which the world is looking at with utter astonishment. Poor, miserable people, families, mothers, children, fleeing from terror and repression for which we're responsible. And in reaction, they're sending thousands of troops to the border. The troops being sent to the border outnumber the children who are fleeing. And with a remarkable PR campaign, they're frightening much of the country into believing that we're just on the verge of an invasion by Middle Eastern terrorists funded by George Soros, so on and so forth. And it's all kind of reminiscent of something that happened 30 years ago. You may recall in 1985, Ronald Reagan strapped on his cowboy boots and got in front of television, called a national emergency because the Nicaraguan army was 2 days' march from Harlingen, Texas, just about to overwhelm and destroy us. And it worked. I mean, this spectacle is almost indescribable, even apart from noticing where they're coming from, the countries that we have crucially been involved in destroying. It's the ability to carry this off repeatedly is quite an amazing commentary on much of the popular culture. But the troika are just like the axis of evil, are those who just don't obey U.S. orders. Colombia, for example, has the worst human rights record in the hemisphere for years, but they're not part of the troika of tyranny. All of this rings very familiar bells. It's been a long-standing element of the U.S. propaganda system mostly on the far right, but not only, which goes way back, and which is a kind of pathological feature of the dominant political culture that should.
Jordan Joan P says, it always goes back to Reagan. It's even before Reagan.
Be understood, analyzed, and dismantled.
And that is so on point. That is so on point. And by the way, that was from a Democracy Now, and that was back in when Trump was still president. But it stands up. It still stands up. Because what he's saying is it's still going on. It's still going on. And why do I say this? You won't fucking believe it. God damn it. Why does VLC for some reason my VLC player just keeps shutting down, but this is what I'm going to play.
Kamala Harris said something absolutely ridiculous. She told people from Guatemala to stay home. Do not come, she said. She said, we need to protect our secure border. Do not come. If Trump said something like that, the same liberals and Democrats would be pissed and they'd be calling him out racist this, racist that. But you won't hear it because Kamala Harris said it. So our country has destabilized Guatemala and other countries in Latin America, and we won't let them seek refuge in our country after we've destroyed theirs. At least it's good to see a politician calling her out like AOC for once. At first, progressives in Congress weren't really calling out Biden and Harris, but now it seems like AOC and others are calling them out more, and that's good to see.
Well, and that's the thing. I got to looking around, and do you know what? When it comes to immigration, basically from the 1800s, well, up until I believe it was 1840, you could just fucking walk right in. The country's gates may have been open wide during much of the 19th century, but the American arms were not. As early as 1750, Benjamin Franklin complained that the Germans settling in Pennsylvania not being used to liberty. Before the 1800s, there were no illegal immigration because there were no limits on immigration. With restrictions of Chinese and then Japanese, the quota systems came illegal immigration and deportation. It wasn't until the 1940s, though, that non-citizens needed paperwork to live in the United States. And what I'm getting at is uh, between the late 1850s or I believe it was 1850s, and the 1920s, like, and that's when you had about, I believe, about 12 million people come over. If I remember, that was the number that I saw. Most of you people that are in the United States, your families came over during that time. They didn't have the restrictions that people coming over now from these countries, but they also didn't have the United States being the oppressor of their home nation, basically making it unlivable to where they need to pick up and go somewhere else. It's not like these people are just trying to get free money. I know that's what people like to think, but it's fucking absurd. Nobody would travel these distances. When people went to Ellis Island, they basically came over and you just needed to be healthy, basically. But now, especially in America, there are employers that have no penalties against them by using these workers' bodies, paying them jack shit, and then if they get caught, they get deported. There's just more of them coming, so they don't care. I've always maintained that if they truly wanted quote illegal immigration to end tomorrow, they could. If they said, we're going to tax 95% of your profit for a 3-year period, if you get caught using illegal immigration, let's just say, it would end tomorrow. There wouldn't be one business that used illegal immigrants. But there are people that make money off of it. That's why it happens. But at the same time, they want to use it as a political football. By the way, David, when that video was on, because I've seen it like 5 times today because I had to edit it, I looked up Smedley Butler. I'd never heard of him, but he was right. Smedley was right. That is, he wrote a book, and I want to read it now. I'm sure there aren't shirts that say that, but that sounds like Smedley was right. By the way, if you don't know, Smedley asserted that there was a business plot, and they found that it was a lot of it was true. There was a conspiracy by business leaders to overthrow President Roosevelt in 1934. So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I mean, that's just literally like it's the people that came here or to America, to the United States. The reason why I go back and forth with that, forever, I've been an asshole. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but my partner is Brazilian. And whenever I say David is given some more facts on Smedley Butler. But I used to always say America this, America that, America this. Well, Canada is America. Brazil is America. Argentina is America. Because South America and North America still count as America. So if you're in America, Central America, it's still America. So I try to say the United States. That's Jordan Joan P says, I'm only third generation American on my dad's side. Well, David's given facts on Smedley. He wrote a book actually that talked about historians have not reported any independent evidence apart from Butler's report on what McIntyre told him. One of these, Hans Schmidt, says McGuire was an inconsequential trickster. The news media dismissed the plot, with the New York Times editorializing it as a giant hoax. When the committee's final report was released, the Times said the committee purported to report that the 2-month investigation had convinced it that Butler's story of a fascist march on Washington was alarmingly true, and also allegedly that definite proof had been found that the much publicized fascist march on Washington was to have been led by Major General Smedley D. Butler, retired, according to the testimony at the hearing, was actually contemplated. The individuals involved all denied the existence of the plot, despite evidence to the contrary. Though the media ridiculed the allegations, the final report by the Special House Representatives Committee confirmed some of Butler's statements. So it was interesting. I love history, so that's a fucking distraction and a half right there. Jamie's gay and late. Hey, Gamey Gay. Some random geek says, I call the United States imperialist corporations of white supremacy as an accurate title. I agree. I totally agree. But yeah, so I have to catch myself, but I'm trying to just repeatedly say the United States because it's respectful to the person that I love. So anyways, got a few more videos that I want to go through. This one,
President Biden is not going to forgive your student loans. Not now, not.
All right, go check out that full video, but I'm just going to talk about voting real quick. One of the things I've struggled with the most as a leftist is the idea of voting, right? I've had elders tell me that people have fought for my right to vote, so I better vote. But then I hear stories like this, and I'm like, what am I voting for? What do you mean? You wouldn't be able to be married if you didn't vote for Democrats? Okay, keep telling yourself that, but like, is that what we're aiming for? Incremental social change? Yes, I'm glad I'm allowed in the hospital room with my wife when she's sick, but that same hospital is going to bankrupt us later on. Joseph and politicians like him see this and they don't care. He knows that Americans are being crumbled under the student loan debt, and he has the ability to change it, but he won't. And listen, I understand the importance of voting because I see the right trying so hard to take that right away from us. But give me something to vote for. I'm tired of this.
I understand that. I truly understand that sentiment. And here there was recently, this was leaked.
Iowa was the first state that we got to work in, and we did it quickly and we did it quietly.
Between that video and what I saw while working for Sanders in Iowa during the presidential campaign, I think the primaries might have been literally rigged. Not the elections, but the primary. If you don't know this, the primary elections aren't like federal elections. They're run by the parties. And when we were voting, the app to count the votes malfunctioned. And so the whole campaign staff sat there all night waiting for the results to roll in, and they never did. Then in the chaos, the Pete campaign publicly announced that they won Iowa. And for those who don't know, Iowa is one of the first states, so it's hugely important. But guess what? All of our internal polling said that we won. And it was close, but not that close. We won. If you don't know, because of momentum and Iowa being the first state, it's a huge deal. Nobody's ever won the first 3 of 4 states and then gone on to lose the primary. Iowa would have been that 3rd state for Bernie. Now you have this video leaked from a dark money group where they're talking about what they did in Iowa.
First off, Iowa is not a primary. Iowa is a caucus. So I don't like. Second of all, internal polling is not an exact science, and doesn't mean that Bernie won. Do I think he did? Yes, I think later on they went out and proved that he did win, slightly. But this kind of shit bothers me. I mean, I'm trying to do it that way. This shit right here bothers me. It bothers me because basically what it's saying is that the election was stolen from Bernie. And that's bullshit. It pisses me off. In fact, I unfollowed this guy on TikTok because it annoyed the shit out of me. I get so fucking tired. I supported Bernie Sanders in both elections, but I also realized in 2020 he was going to lose early on. In fact, I think I talked about it on this fucking very show. Early on, talked about him not being responsive to the communities that he should. And he went after Joe fucking Rogan. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so tiresome. Bernie Sanders lost. That's the thing. Democrats in 2016 blamed everything on fucking Russia. And what did that get them? That got them, basically, they do have the halls of Congress. They have the three, they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, but they can't do anything with it. They haven't done anything with it. And this video also goes along with this.
President Biden is not going to forgive your student loans. Not now. Not.
All right, go check.
No. Oh shit. I don't think I have it. It's from my favorite Comrade Sparkles. He basically said that you fucked yourself by thinking politics, voting was going to change things. But even he does the whole thing with Bernie and how Bernie was robbed. Bernie didn't play the game. If you're gonna talk about politics, you're gonna talk about how to win elections. Bernie didn't do what he needed to do as a candidate. He sucked. And in fact, some random geek says Bernie is shit candidate I would have preferred to have in the White House, but he's a shit candidate. I am still a bit salty though. I was pissed off that Bernie pulled the same shit. And like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is why I was talking about TikTok. That same guy that I just showed you, his literal name. I'm trying to see. Here it is. His podcast name is literally Midwest Marxist. But this hot pile of shit I unfollowed him for, and you'll soon get an idea of why.
The left hates Joe Rogan. And I mean, I get it. He says dumb stuff and he's self-admittedly a meathead. But I'll admit, while other kids were going through the alt-right pipeline in high school, I was watching Joe Rogan. It was the first time I had seen someone be thoughtful and conversational while also being into martial arts like me. Because a lot of high school boys think reading and being educated is stupid and uncool. And for a dumb high school brain, a podcast with the host from Fear Factor can start to change that. And Joe has terrible people on his show, but he also has people from the left. So when the left is constantly freaking out and trying to cancel Joe Rogan for one thing he said on his show, I feel like it's not
fucking one thing. He literally talks about trans people like they're pieces of shit. And he says the N-word on the regular. He has people that are fucking disgusting misogynists. I mean, it's not one thing.
gonna push those young, impressionable viewers further towards the right side of the spectrum. Because that's what the right-wingers he has on his show thrive on. The culture war, the left.
And this is so much bullshit. The people that listen to Joe Rogan you're the exception, not the rule, buddy. And if you're so fucking malleable that Joe Rogan is gonna, if he doesn't have any leftists on his show, it's gonna push you to the right, then you're pretty weak fucking minded in the first place.
Left is trying to cancel you. If the left is in power, they'll shut down Joe Rogan. This has been my most meathead take. Thank you.
And it's definitely it's a stupid fucking take. And I literally, there's a trans woman that I'm friends with on TikTok. I asked her if I could use her video. She hasn't gotten back to me, so I'm not going to use it. But basically, that's what she said. She said, kind of go fuck yourself. Joe Rogan's a piece of shit. But that's the whole thing. When it comes down to it, Joe Rogan isn't going to bring you the election. Joe Rogan didn't bring you fucking a winning strategy. And you'll get people that'll sit there and go, well, but you can't say he didn't win. He won black men under 25, or and go on with these statistics. Guess who he didn't win with? The people that fucking vote. They aren't the youngins. Now, if the youngins did vote, Bernie Sanders would have won, but they didn't. Not in the numbers they needed to. Not in the same numbers as the olds do. It fucking pisses me off. I'm just like, Democrats in 2016 couldn't come to terms with the fact that they got their ass handed to them because they demanded that we vote for Hillary Clinton, even though people have repeatedly, I mean, she got her ass handed to her. It should have been enough that Obama wiped. I mean, he was a guy that had just gotten into the Senate and had been in the Illinois State Senate for a while, and she lost to him. That should have told them, this isn't your time. We can't run you for the climate that there is right now. But they said, fuck you. We're going to run Hillary Clinton and you're going to vote for her whether you like it or not. And that's why you got Trump. But instead of learning that lesson, they rushed it for fucking ever. I don't know if y'all remember, because the news cycle is so fucking slow, but there was supposed to be a blue wave. Democrats were supposed to take the Senate by, I forget, like 6 or 7 seats. That didn't happen. That's what I always ask when people say the election was fixed. Do you want to go back and let's look at all the ballots, not just Trump. Let's look at Republicans, because there was supposed to be a blue wave. If there was election fraud, why was it only with Trump? How does that work? Bullshit. But that being said, Bernie Sanders didn't learn the lessons from 2016. And in 2020, he did the same thing. He didn't connect with the communities that he needed to. He needed to connect with older black men and women, with cis women, with the LGBT community, with Hispanics, people that are normally Democratic voters. He needed to connect with those people. But he goes on fucking Joe fucking Rogan and does that kind of stuff. It's not just that. It was not just that. So he didn't go after the constituencies. He didn't even send a representative to creating change. There were two presidential candidates that did. Buttigieg and Warren. They both sent representatives to be at the booth at creating change. This is supposed to be the most progressive candidate in the field, and he doesn't go or send any of his people to an LGBT conference. Then does not go to either HRC event, the Human Rights Campaign, a LGBT rights organization in Washington, D.C., doesn't go to either one of their events. He ignores the communities that he shouldn't and tries to get fucking Rust Belt voters or dude bros. And, people want to argue this. These Bernie bros, they want to fucking argue about it. You lost. Bernie, it wasn't stolen. Bernie lost. Learn how to play the game. If you're worried about fucking politics, if you think it's... Now, here's my thing. When it comes to... I don't think revolution is going to come at the ballot box. I do think you should vote. But I think you should look at it as something that's going to be a low output thing. It's going to give you those little changes. It's not going to give you the big changes. If you want those big changes, there's going to have to be a revolution. And that starts with mutual aid on the streets. Brought to you by... Oh, Jonathan, what's the page that they need to go to? CharityLinks.page. for all your mutual aid needs. But yeah, that's very good, Jonathan. Jonathan with the link. But that's the thing. You are not going to have. And Jordan Joan P, yes, Hillary kind of hopped on the turf train, and that's no one's shocked in the trans community that I can think of. But yeah. It's absurd to think that Joe Rogan's going to save anybody. And these even if he has the biggest podcast in the fucking world, show me how that's made one goddamn bit of difference in any campaign. Anyways, I got 3 more videos and then we'll get out of here. I thought this was spot on.
I don't care that you're a Christian. I don't care what the Bible says. Like, I feel like it's a clown show, like sitting here trying to decipher what your little mythical book has to say about these very real political issues, right? I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter, in this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
I fucking love that. That was just thrown in there because I thought it was amazing. Also, this.
I am so glad we're finally comfortable enough to talk about not wanting cis hats in our queer spaces. With great.
You should go watch the video. It's super informative, and everything that they're saying is completely valid and accurate. I want to add to it. There's a gay bar in my hometown, and when you first walk in, there's a giant rainbow flag, so it's clearly a gay bar. Also, you can tell by the name that it's a gay bar. I'm not going to say it. But I also, one time I was there on a Friday night, and Friday nights it gets overrun by college students and, generally speaking, cis het people. I was there in full drag and just living my life. I wasn't performing. I was just going out and just because I wanted to. But I was getting called so many slurs, and that was the moment when I realized that cis het people don't belong in queer spaces at all.
For me, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Because I think if cishet people are going to be in queer spaces, they need to basically respect where they're at. Again, it's one of those things where cishet people think they, especially white cishet people, think they fucking own everything. They want to overrun fucking gay bars and be how they are in non-queer spaces. Like, be homophobic, be transphobic. Fuck that. Get the fuck out of our spaces if you're going to be an asshole. Jordan Joan P said, Joe Rogan is not going to save anything, not even weed, because that motherfucker is going to smoke it all and not share with anyone. Well, here's the thing. He's so leftist, he moved to fucking Texas. He moved to Texas so he wouldn't have to deal with taxes or COVID restrictions. That's how much of a dick he is. I've said it here. He's a dick. Anyways, I thought this was funny. If you don't know what neopronouns are, neopronouns are pronouns that aren't in direct usage, kind of like ze and zer, or there are many different neopronouns. But I thought this was funny as shit because this guy he's so pissed off.
So lots of people asking about my pronouns. They are pronounced ze, them, their.
Now, before you start jumping to the fucking comments, before you do, I have no problem with the pronouns. I have no problem with it. I don't quite understand it fully, but I have no problem with it, okay? But.
Okay. Stop right there, buddy. Stop right there. Stop right there before we go any further. Stop it. STOP space IT. Stop it. The funniest line I heard from a fucking TikTok says, my grandfather said, everything after but is shit. But
calling someone he, him, she, her, and all that, them, they, whatever, okay? I don't mind. It is what it is. But when you change the whole English diction, that's not happening. You're creating something that's not even... No. You can't expect me to say that. No, it's not happening. Like, that's legitimately not mentally okay. You know, I'm trying not to be fucking rude, but, like, you're not, like, no hate. Really, no hate. Like, you do you...
I'm not trying to be rude, but
100%, but not that.
But he keeps saying but. There's a lot of shit.
I'm not abiding by that. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. I know it's Pride Month and it's a fucking touchy subject, but like I have to. Like this is getting way out of fucking hand.
It's getting way out of hand that I have to like call someone what they want to be called. So ridiculous.
Here's a translation of what he said. There's pronouns I'm unaware of and that I haven't learned yet. Rage! I don't understand! I haven't taken the time to listen and learn about it, even though it's Pride Month, which is the perfect opportunity to listen and learn about it. I can't comprehend my emotions, so I must rage! Clearly, the concept of neopronouns is very new to him, and instead of, like, trying to do research into understanding what they are and what they mean, he kind of, like, threw a fit. I love how he was also like, I know that it's Pride Month and that I shouldn't be talking about this, but I don't care. I've never seen someone so outraged by neopronouns. And 800,000 people liked the video and agreed with the video. Happy Pride.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So pressed. But they're not snowflakes. No. Yeah. They're not snowflakes at all. Anyways, that's all I got for tonight. I wanted to thank y'all. I definitely want to thank Leto and James J and Some Random Geek and David Scott for being for supporting the show. I also wanted to thank Nerd Teacher for doing some artwork for me. I'm gonna try to put a merch store up and get some of these made. At least a mug or something I want to get, or a mouse pad. I want to get some of this stuff on it. But thank you guys for coming tonight. And yeah, George Joan P. But not being rude, but I'm rude, okay? Well, that's the thing. He was so pressed about it. It's like, this is how I feel about it. One of my friends way back in the day went by Z and Zer, and it was really, really hard for me. But I realized something with that. He went by the name Danny at the time. If I had problems with the pronouns, I just called him by his name or referred to him by his name. It's not that I disagreed with them. It was just really hard for me to get into the practice. And Jamie J will know because with Peter Coffin, I have had issues with misgendering them, not on purpose. And as a trans person, I should know better, but it's hard for me. So I use his name. I use their name. See how hard it is for me. I don't do it on purpose, but it's not easy, and it's something that. But I'm not pressed about it. I don't. It doesn't hurt me in any way if someone wants to use they them pronouns or Z and their or anything, any pronouns. If you wanted to be called Zod or Fod, why would I care? I want you to be happy and for you to feel like that you're respected and loved and appreciated. And I'm not going to be a dick. Yeah, Jamie J. That's the thing. I've always educated people in the public when they ask about pronouns. I don't want to say the wrong one. I don't want to say the wrong one. Ask. If you don't know, ask. And if you make a mistake, correct yourself and move the fuck on. We don't want a written apology in triplicate. Most of us don't. We just want, and we know that you will fuck up. But just move on. Anyways. No, I found that amusing as fuck because it's just like, why would you be so pressed by that? But there again, cis men especially think they own people to the point where you have to cater to them. Back when I was learning about really awful racism, like outwardly, like calling black men boy and really, really derogatory stuff, outwardly racist attitudes towards black men especially, I used to think, God, how did that ever happen? And then when I hear shit like this, I'm just like, I know exactly how it happened. Because this is the same type of attitude. It doesn't have anything to do with me, but I'm going to make it about me. And that is what cishet white people do. They make everything about them. They center themselves. And it's almost like, it almost seems like it literally is a kind of, it's not a gift, but it's kind of like it's floated down from fucking colonialism. We've come to expect everything to the point that equality feels like oppression to us. Anyways, that's all I got. Thank you all for coming. I did want to actually say,
You're listening to The Tea Party, part of the Trans FM radio network.
is that all?
We're streaming live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook by searching for Tea Party Podcast. That's the letter T followed by Party Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter and Instagram at Marty Abernathy. You can financially support the show by making a one-time donation by going to trans.fm or by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/Marty Abernathy. That's MartyAbernathy.
And also, I am serious. It sounds like Jamie J and some random geek are going to be doing some upgrades to the charitylinks.page page. Eventually, what I would hope is there's like, I could choose like trans women and then, you know, have a list of surgeries for, you know, like if somebody has a GoFundMe for a surgery, and then you could open that up and it would expand out so that you kind of had, you know, you could focus in on what you wanted to donate, because I have things like that that I care about, that I actually already do support, but I would love to help more by having people that are in need be put on the charitylinks.page. But if you want to help some of our comrades, charitylinks.page, there's links there to help our comrades in need, because capitalism is shit. Anyways, y'all, I am out of here. But I love you guys, and I'll be here on shit. Let me check my schedule. I think I work this weekend. No, I can do a show on Saturday. Cool. So we will do a show on Saturday. I don't know how fresh I'll be, but I will be here with bells on. I'm trying. I did some. I've done some different transitions. I didn't use a lot tonight because I didn't switch to camera 2 like that. But I've done some work there. But slowly but surely, I'm getting this thing how I want it. But we're getting there, and I think the camera's better, and the sound's better. At least I hope so. I did some testing earlier. Yeah, mine's next week, or mine's the third week. But I will. Yeah, I can do Sunday. I'm working night shift Friday night, so I'm gonna be nice and crispy on Saturday night doing a show. But I've done it before, and that's okay. I'm gonna keep doing this every Friday, every Saturday and Wednesday, and probably cause I don't know. It's probably not gonna work. But guess what I got working? Baba Bing. So I'm gonna be messing around with that. That's something else that kind of made me laugh, because I fucking love Call of Duty, but watching the storylines on Call of Duty, you can tell that they are influenced heavily, not influenced, they're monetized by the armed services. I can almost guarantee you the storylines are so like oh fuck, what's the name of that movie? Dark something. I forget the name of it. Dark 20. Help me out here, chat. Dark 40. Taliban. Let's see. Since you guys can't help me out, you fuckers. Zero Dark 30. Like every fucking Zero Dark 30. Every plot is kind of a takeoff on that. The one that I was playing literally has a woman commander that is like this I'm just doing what I'm told, blah blah blah, but I'm gonna help you on the side kind of thing. It was just like, it was totally like a rip-off of Zero Dark 30. I was just like but like the plots and everything. So I wish you could choose the other side. But I'm still messing around with it, so I'm thinking maybe some of the live gameplay you probably can choose the other side. Not saying I would, because probably I get so pissed off though when people will sit there and say, well, in this country you would be murdered. So people, that's the whole thing like with Palestinians. You would be drugged behind a car in the streets, and it's like, so people don't deserve human rights. Some random geek said after Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the developers of COD started working with the Pentagon directly. I'm not surprised because it does seem like it is literally Department of Defense propaganda. And the plot lines they're just so forced. Jamie said, I live in the U.S. and people have tried to pretty seriously hurt me a lot, so I don't know why people talk like we have it great here either. Jamie, it's funny you say that, because as American in this country, I'm just like, people are saying, why would you ever leave America? And I'm just like, why wouldn't I? I mean, you have a lot of racist assholes over here but they're not anywhere close to the racist assholes that you have in Indiana. Not even close. The transphobia, yes, it's worse. Racism, it's not the same. It doesn't compare. The misogyny doesn't compare. It's still here. And Jamie J said, why would you ever stay in the States? It depends. I mean, there are places like Madison, Wisconsin that I lived in, but I would never go back unless something bad were to happen to somebody in my family, and it wouldn't be my mom, because I wouldn't go back for her. I wouldn't. Well, we wouldn't say that because that's not nice. But yeah, I think it's a grass is always greener type of thing. I think that's what it boils down to. Is most people think that America has or the United States has. See, there it is. Which is harder for me, neopronouns or not saying America in place of the United States? It's one of those things where it's a grass is always greener kind of thing, and American propaganda is everywhere about how great it is. I didn't find it was that great. There's at least half the country that's not half, about a third that's just flat out racist, homophobic, and transphobic. And that's not awesome. There are places in this world that are a hell of a lot more progressive and a lot better place to live. I can think of, the Baltic states for one, by every fucking metric. Unless your metric is fucking Walmart's. Anyways, I love you guys. I will see you on Saturday. Take care, everyone.